managed to stay single this time, you know?
What is up, everybody? Can you believe it? I don't even know what episode it is. I've been working all day. Just forced some food down my throat and jumped on here with you guys. I've been waiting all day for this, actually. I'm fucking pumped. I hope you guys are pumped. By the way, I'm Joshua Ray Farmer. This is our weekly, when I say our, I mean my. Apparently, it's going to be me solo quite often, which, to be honest with you, I really fucking like. Because then I can do what I want, when I want, how I want. If you're wondering why I'm wearing glasses, it's because I want to. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me on here. This is episode number 36. 36 of these bad boys already. I'm Joshua Ray Farmer here at High Sierra Tattoo Co. in Clovis, California, 601 West Shaw. 601 West Shaw, highsierratattooco.com. Anyway, I'm your local friendly tattoo artist, the one you have come to know and love. So hello, all my longtime listeners, no-time callers. Thanks for watching. Thanks for jumping in. I'm getting better at this intro thing. You guys know what to do. You guys know what to do. If anybody's on here and you know what to do, since you're on here watching, go ahead and let everybody know in the comments what they're supposed to do. And on top of that, you guys also let me know where you're watching / calling / listening, whatever from. Let us know where you're at. It's kind of cool to know. We got Megan on here saying hello. Hello, Megan. Let me know where you guys are from or where you are. Even if you've said it before, feel free to join us. Let us in. Let us connect with you. Let us learn to let us help you. Brody Jade is definitely getting it 100%. Give me your fuck money. By the way, guys, let me know if those sound effects sound absolutely terrible. I think something might be wrong actually with the audio part, but let me know if that sounds terrible. Give me fucking money. I think it sounds terrible. It sounds terrible on my end. All right, let's see here. So Brody Jade's got it right. Bring cash. Natalie's saying she's watching from the big screen in Clovis, hooking it up. Mom says she's on the couch in Oregon City. What's up, Mom? Love you. It's good to see you. I got sis on here too. She's getting it right. So here's the instructions. Get spicy in the comments. If you guys never been on the show before, what it is a Q&A. While you're watching this at this point, since I've never even mentioned it, and it's been technically we've been on for the last 9 minutes. I haven't even told you it's a Q&A. So if you've never seen this before and you didn't know that, I don't know why you're still here. But if you are still here, and for those of you that are still here, it's going to be a Q&A session tonight. You're going to be joining me, yours truly, Joshua Ray Farmer, with a nice stogie and a super expensive cigar cutter that doesn't work it doesn't open unless you give it some love. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it works when you give it love. Anyway, we're going to do a Q&A. I asked a question online. You guys answered. And your responses will get responded to here shortly. Pops is on here saying he's watching with Mom. It's so cool. I'm assuming you're not on separate phones, that you guys are watching on the big screen. So that's really cool. Either way, it's still really cool. Steve calling / watching. You guys remember all those call-a-thons where it was like a bunch of phones in the background and people on them? And anyway, I always think of this like that, like we're ready for like some ticker in the background to say I made a bunch of money, but actually I'm just getting broker by sitting here instead of making money. So Steve calling from Taft. Lenore, yes, it's time to shout out to Linda while I cut this beautiful Rocky Patel. I think it's a 1999 Connecticut, one of my favorites. So yes, Linda, if you're out there, if you're watching, if you guys don't know who Linda is my favorite. She's my favorite client. So Linda, she's never watched one of these, but if you did watch one of these, you can't deny that you are my favorite. I always tell her she's my favorite, and she never believes me. Linda's like, well, I won't completely give you the age, but let's say Linda's much older than me, and she's gotten full sleeves by me, and she claims that I've changed her life. So Linda, if you're out there, just know I'm thinking of you. Ashley's on here saying hello. What's up? So you guys, get in the comment section. You're supposed to get spicy. Mom, you don't have to get spicy, but everybody else, you get spicy. Get heated, get debatable, get informational, whatever it is. I would like to have a conversation with you guys tonight about some really interesting shit. So because it's just me and there's no Haley Chaos, there's no guest on the show tonight, it's just me and it's just you. So I can use my Linda voice all night if I'd like. Either way, thank you guys for being on here, and we're going to get into it. So here we go. This is what starts it. Mom says, I had to look up AI. I never heard of this. Interesting. Mom, you're going to learn a lot. I will warn you guys, if you didn't see my post about what tonight's show is going to be about, I'm sure most of you did, we're going to get into it, and I want to get into it, and I want to get into it with you. So what that means is we're going to talk about some pretty heavy stuff and what it all means, what it looks like. And I think it's a perfect timing because a lot of you, even though you're not familiar with some of this AI or, artificial intelligence and even more advanced versions of it, what it means to us as individuals, as well as especially me, artists or people that work in business and a lot of employees, a lot of robotic stuff, a lot of AI stuff is going to shift a lot of things and how that impacts us. But it's just fun to talk about. It's kind of like talking about aliens, except for this shit's real. Well, it's demonstrably real. So that's really cool. So Mom's saying she never heard of AI. This will be fun for you. Ashlyn's on here with their little devil faces. That's right. Get spicy. Pops is saying they're on their phones. He's doing a drive-by. It's almost his bedtime. Well, either way, thanks for being on here, Dad. I love you. Good to see you, or at least let you see me while I get to see your comments. I hope all is well. I miss my Oregon family. Didn't get a chance to come up there recently, so would have been nice, but you guys know I love you, and I know you love me. Let's see here. Ashley's already getting into it and saying scary AF. So tonight, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, or there's any responses or questions or anything, again, it's a Q&A technically, but it's going to be a lot of me rambling. Jump in here with a question. Let us know what your thoughts are on anything related to the topics tonight. But also, if you just have anything in general, like ask me anything. That's kind of the whole point of this is literally, let me get this thing toasted. Ask me literally anything. You can ask me anything and I will do my best to respond. I'm here for you guys and I want to do this with you. So let's do that, okay? There we go. That's a Rocky right there. Rocky Patel all the way. I got my goodies. So, of course, my trusty root beer, which I fucking love. It's A&W, that's right. And I got my trusty truth serum. So if we really want to get into the AI stuff, we're going to. Let's take a look here. So we did ask a question on Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up now. Instagram/Facebookies. I asked it on the interwebs. Let's go here. David said, I have worked with many people that possess AI. I like that. Carson saying AI is changing the tattoo industry for both positives and negatives. Carson, you're right. Mom is saying, oh my God, Dad, that's awesome. So Dad's funny. So it'd be cool one day if he's actually on here for a whole episode. Maybe I'll have to start a little earlier so you can join us. Brody said, that's a good one. Me too. I work with them too. I think we all do. Love you guys, but we all do. I'm going to do my best not to waste this tonight and let it go out because I usually do because I get to talking. But let's see if I can keep this thing blowing tonight. It'll get a little quiet because I think the way it sounds to me is my sound effects board is broken. I think that sounds terrible to you guys. Am I correct? Just let me know. Say yes or no. Ashley's saying, I follow someone on TikTok who has conversations with robots on live that looks like us. It's crazy. Okay, so how many of you guys right out of the gate are familiar with AI or robotics or virtual reality? So VR, AI. So Mom, since you're watching and don't know much about it, AI is artificial intelligence. We'll also be getting a little deeper, hopefully, into... So Brody Jade, thanks for saying it's broken. So I'm not going to play sound effects tonight. That sucks. Well, I can play at least things like this, but not through my old system. So we'll be limited tonight. Hence the technological advancements that we're under. But if you guys know anything about AI, let me know what you do know, what you're interested in. If you have any questions about it, we're going to get into it. I'd like to start first off with just the question that I asked online. And it was just ask me anything. So we'll start here. So that we don't get too far off track and everybody gets answered. And you guys, again, ask questions here in the chat. That's the whole point of it. And if you have a cigar with you, smoke with me. Natalie's on here saying, regarding AI and robotics and whatnot, I'm familiar, but the sex stuff. Yeah, well, technically we're all familiar with it in terms of sex. That's for sure. If you guys have kids around, you might want to plug your ears. At least some parts of this episode are going to get pretty honest, if you will. Not hopefully too sketchy, but definitely honest. Ashley's saying, do you think that's where things are going? It's inevitable. If you try to stop it, to parlay or to, you know, let's say delay anything, all someone's going to do is use it against you, and then therefore you lose. It's kind of like a gun. Imagine saying guns are going to be bad, don't use them. Well, whoever does use them then will beat you every time. It's actually a really good analogy. So it's exactly what this is going to be. AI is going to be to the world, especially the known world, the digital world, what guns are to sticks and stones. Mom said, you don't have to be intelligent to have sex. Thank goodness. No, but intelligence, once made digital, online, like AI, eventually will be so good at getting you to do what it wants that eventually, as weird as it sounds, having conversation with my mother, but it's going to be how people actually interact, I think, to such a large degree that the younger generations are. Mom, think of this, because this is really important. We got grandkids and we got nieces and nephews we all love. This is a heavy topic. You've seen kids, everybody's seen kids grab one of these and start scrolling. They know what to do already. They're very familiar with it. Not only very familiar with it, but they're doing it by one. Okay, you're already given a phone or a tablet, right? Nobody's new to this. They've all seen children doing this, correct? Check this out. Not only do you see children doing this, wait till you see them wearing the goggles, 6 months, 12 months, movies, education, school, experiences, whatever it is, babysitting them instead of putting them in front of a TV with a Disney movie on for 12 hours a day running through them. You're going to be putting goggles on them, right? We've all seen them with the phones. What's going to be the difference between that and handling goggles? That'll be the future. Most of what I'm talking about today won't apply to us older folk because we are used to the known world. So we're conditioned and adapted to what we have now. So we'll reject a lot of this, just like we reject a lot of things that we make fun of kids for today. All they want to do is play video games. Yeah, well, most things exist in the video game world now. Kids aren't buying cars. They're buying cars online. They're not going to the gym and getting fit. They're buying some cool dude with a machine gun and a cool car online. So that stuff's happening now as we speak. I can tell with some of these comments, guys, I'm probably not going to get to all of you. I'll do my best. I'll try to pay attention to it best I can and interact with you. Let's see here. You have to be into it. That's for sure. I'll do my best like I always do, but forgive me if we go off course a little. So if you have a question that doesn't get answered and you don't see me answering it, feel free to, of course, ask again. Carson said, I've used AI creations on Discord, Mod Journey. It's been overall a great experience. Some references for my digital art. Yes, so it's very useful. It's a tool so far. Let's see here. Ashley's saying, we'll end up being controlled by robots. I mean, look at us in our phones. We're already controlled by robots. We've already given away. You're living your whole life watching robots. Think about this. People, real people, go on camera to act like average people that watch them, right? You have a celebrity who goes and acts. These celebrities play in movies that look like kitchens like ours, but when they go home, their kitchens are full with maids and they probably don't even really have a kitchen. What I'm saying is we're watching people through a digital screen where they acted once in a movie, in a film, and then we watch it, fall in love with them, like them, care for them, have connections, and at least enough to care if they slap people or not, die or not. And you're watching a digital reference of them, which is a TV portraying a human with sound and video and visual. And you already feel a visceral connection to it. Wait until more advanced shit comes out, not a TV and not just sound, but everything just viscerally starts, whether it's connected to you digitally through some sort of shit that they've already developed, like microchips. Get into that. People freak out over this stuff, but we're already doing it. We already have implants. We already have all this stuff we'll be talking about tonight mostly already exists in the world. People have sex with machines. They already do. People having sex with robots. They already do. Women already use prosthetic male parts. They're battery operated or fuck them up. Some of them might be gas operated 2-strokes. I don't fucking know what you guys use, but I do know something what you guys use. But what I'm saying is, Linda, if you're out there, you might want to close your ears. A lot of the stuff everybody's scared about is already happening, right? We're already digitally having relationships with people and things that we've never met, like, hate, or know things we've never seen in real life. We're already having responses. Like right now, you're having a relationship, at least through a screen, with somebody that's sitting here in real time, which is why we're live. But this could be watched for years to come and really technically for eternity, which means that relationship can be still fostering well after I'm gone, which this video probably will last longer than me. If that's the case, then we're already having relationships with robots. to some extent. It's just going to get way, way more advanced and way more enticing and visceral. And you think people disappeared from the world when the smartphone came out? You've not seen shit yet. Let's see here. People saying hello to each other in the chats is awesome. It's super cool to see that community being built. Ashley saying, my 6-year-old can use my oldest's Oculus, and I'm clueless on how to use it. Yeah, and eventually we'll have babies, and they'll just put them right on, probably right out of the gate. That's for sure. And Danbria's even say VR is in too. We've all seen it. Some of us give it to our grandkids. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm not demonizing it. It's like demonizing cars or radio or TV. There's things you can do that are good with it, and there's things you can do for bad. There's always a push and a pull, like Carson said earlier. There's good and there's bad. There's positive and negative. Always with anything you do. Cheyenne, thanks for being on here. Thank you for that. I am having a great night. It's good to see all you guys. It's good to see friends and family. Let's see here. Let's go to this. Yeah, this is funny. Okay, I'm definitely not going to read all the comments. You guys get spicy. It's totally fun. Yes, Natalie, mom's getting spicy. You guys can read those comments. I probably won't, at least not out loud. Rochelle, I'm glad that you're here to monitor mother. Hope everything is going good. God, I love you guys. Okay, so I'm going to say this real quick before I get into these comments. AI and robotics and virtual will be to the world what guns are to sticks and stones. Sticks and stones you can relate to the physical world, and AI you can relate to the digital world. The digital world will be to the physical world what sticks and what guns are to sticks and stones. Sticks and stones, real world, right? Guns, as a metaphor, represent, or let's say firearms represent the digital world and AI that lives within it. So we'll get into that. Before we do, I'm going to read a couple things. I asked a question. It always takes me, I like to measure this. Let's see, 20 minutes before I get to the actual Q&A. I said, ask me anything. And Crystal said, favorite sunrise moment. Favorite sunrise moment. That's like the hardest question ever. I think one time I had a really bad night, a really terrible night. And seeing the sun come up the next day, knowing I was still alive and that there's still another chance was my favorite one. And it really wasn't that long ago. But that very moment, I was very thankful to have a chance at maybe not physically necessarily, but emotionally and mentally be living again and waking up to a literal sunrise and going, okay, we don't have to keep doing what we've been doing. Let's do something new this time. Like my post this morning, if you don't watch me on Instagram. Every day is anew. Every night is to die so that you can wake up anew. And that's a transformation that should play out often in your lives. Okay, here, Azure is saying, how do you feel about tattooing on other tattoo artists' ex? That's a good question. I'll be honest, since we're doing this. How do I feel about tattooing on other tattoo artists' ex? I don't really care. I just want to do art. I want you to pay me a lot of money. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I want you to love what I give you. As long as it's portraits and realism, I really don't give a shit. Chantel is saying, how would you handle poison oak on a tattoo? I wouldn't handle it at all. I would stop touching it. I've had poison oak. Mom, we don't need any comments. I know they all know it went everywhere and tickled all the parts. I had it really bad. So how would you handle it? No, just keep treating it like poison oak. You might have to be really, really careful. It's on a tattoo. It's probably gonna harm it to some extent. It's gonna piss you off. It's gonna piss off the tattoo. So you have to be very careful and don't spread it. The tattoo itself, if it gets it on there, is probably gonna be pretty jacked if it's fresh. If it's not fresh, just obviously treat it normal. Ashley is saying, how do you get your kids interested in things other than video games? It's so easy. I can answer that in one simple sentence. She's saying, how do you get your kids interested in things other than video games? One simple fucking answer. I bet you guys could all guess what I'm about to say. Take away the video games. You're the parent. It's like, how do you keep your kids from overeating and being fat? Stop feeding them shit that makes them fat. It's actually pretty fucking simple. But I'm not demeaning your question. That is a good question. People deal with it a lot today because we're all so busy. How do you deal with kids? How do you get your kids interested in other things than games? Take away the games. Kids will find some way to occupy themselves. I did that with my kids. I limit, especially when they were growing up, I very much limited it. And my kids are very active in music, sports, athletics, and the physical world. So, but they also play video games and they have computers, really advanced stuff. They have really advanced computers capable of really great experiences, but they also know that the real world exists because that's what you do. Let me see. I don't want to miss you guys. Like I said, I can't promise that I'll get to all of you. I know I won't tonight. Let's take a look here. Susan, yes, mom. That's mom. She's saying easy, spend time. Yeah, 100%. Natalie, you got it. Take them the fuck away. It's that simple. If your kids have a problem with video games, you have a problem with, sorry to say this, Ashley, but you asked it. If your kids have a problem with video games that you cannot control, it's not a kid problem. It's a parenting problem. It's that simple. And it's a very important problem to address. So I don't mean that in a condescending way. Ashlyn's totally right. Take them outside. Take them outside. Kids love being outside. Let's see here. Mandy, my partner in crime, is actually right here and right here. So I'm glad you brought it up. You guys hear that? Let me give you some of this ASMR kind of shit right now. That's right. So this is my partner in crime tonight. I'm actually having a good night. You guys are tonight my current partner in crime. So pouring a nice little finger and a half. Let's go here. So that's my partner in crime. Here is another answer. Crystal said, I think it's all programmed. Oh, this is actually me asking, what do you think about AI? Crystal said, I think it's all programmed to make us believe anything, so it's not really artificial. That's very much true. Artificial intelligence is going to want us to at first get used to it, knowing it's AI, and then eventually it's going to be totally fine with convincing us that it's no longer AI. It might be us responding as individuals, and it's going to trick us. If you guys haven't seen the videos already of looks like real people, it's very convincing. Eventually it's going to be so good you won't know the difference between people talking or visually watching people on screens. You won't know the difference between real people and artificial intelligence forming themselves as a person. That is already here, and it's just going to be more relevant very, very soon. You'll see it in the coming days and months, and especially within the next years. Every single one of us is going to be very familiar with all this stuff. Chantel says, I don't have enough information to have an opinion. So that's a good point, is that you will very soon, and to be in front of it will be important. And I'm going to tell you exactly why this is such an important topic and fun. Like I said, it's like talking about aliens. But I'm going to tell you why it's so important. Because here's why it's so important. The physical world took tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands or more years for humans to evolve into a place where they could eventually build what's called the industrial system. Cars, roads, trucks, power lines, the infrastructure that eventually would give birth to, and you guys really need to understand this, the infrastructure that gave birth to the internet took so much human evolution, time, and effort, so much resources, death, blood, sweat, and tears, all the way from Roman history and Greek history to the plague in the Middle Ages to the Renaissance period to today to now the new digital, what I've heard it called as Renaissance period, which I love. Okay, the physical world took a really long time, a lot of effort, and really slow because it was very limiting. We didn't have much at first. The wheel started slow. Using fire and harnessing it and farming started, you're talking thousands of years of span of time for us to learn how to harness these things. As soon as it got advanced enough for us to get things like the printing press, and slowly you see things ramping up, getting more and more efficient, and the changes, instead of taking hundreds of years, like 1,000 years ago, somebody's great grandpa could totally give them life advice on exactly what to do, and it would be totally practical because their lives pretty much didn't change generation to generation like ours do today. Our lives today are changing generation to generation so fast. I think most of us will be aliens to our grandchildren, for sure. Aliens to a large degree, which is why it's so important to take them outside, to connect with them, to take away their fucking video games. You're the parent. You're the grandparent, right? You're the great-grandparent maybe, or the aunt, the uncle. You got to be this example for these kids so they're not completely lost and useless. It's one thing to give them a phone. It's another thing to give them goggles at 1 year old and just fucking forget about them, which is happening and going to continue happening. So my point is, the infrastructure of the world took so long for men to come up with, for humans to come up with, so much energy. And then from there to developing the digital world, once that was possible, didn't take as much effort and massively moved and shifted the world even in greater strides. Maybe not in a physical sense, but in a mental and emotional sense. And that digital world's only been around for a short period of time. Like, you have cars older than this digital world, guys, that you're driving around. I know I do. That being said, what we're talking about today is AI, which is systems built inside of the internet that live in the real world, right? There's the real industrial world that took so long to make that eventually we developed something called the internet, which is the digital world. And the digital world is even bigger, actually, and grander, technically, and limitless than the real world, physical world that we're limited to. The digital world didn't take very long for us to adopt, and it was rejected at first, but eventually became useful to all of us. Now we all have smartphones and we're living in these digital worlds. You're technically watching me digitally. Now we're building systems inside the digital world. Okay, if you think the digital world advanced really quick and changed us in terms of behavior, anybody my age or close to it knows we have changed dramatically in the last 25, 30 years, especially a little longer, but since the digital world's been here. Now we're building tools inside of the digital world, okay, like AI and artificial intelligence, and eventually super artificial intelligence, meaning AI will build programs that are even better than it, which they're already more advanced than us. And now they're going to build programs that are more advanced than them. And at that point, I believe we will be completely fucking lost and damn near useless to these powers. That's not going to take hundreds of thousands of years like the industrial world took to eventually culminate. The 25, 30 years that the internet has been around, for it to have the effect, AI won't take that long, because now this is a system built inside of that I think will take a matter of months and years. And once it builds its own systems, because it'll be way smarter than us, I think it will take days, moments, seconds, and I think we will be blind to it. It'll be so fast and so good and so deep. So that's my premise. You can imagine all kinds I could never cover in one video, all kinds of reasons why this is super fucking special and important, exciting, turbulent, and fucking dangerous and scary at the same time. Let's see here. Mandy is saying that Duke says you're a good man for enjoying the Angel's Envy and a cigar. 100%. Haven't taken a drink yet, but Duke, to you. Hopefully you're having some too. Oh, that Angel's Envy. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go. I'm going to go back a little bit just to see your guys' comments. Just because I don't want to miss you, but at the same time, I can't get to all of them. Let's see here. A lot of you are saying you limit your children onto your video games and whatnot in digital world. That's very important. It's very important to do. Even when they are on it, I think it's important to distinct also the difference between making something and consuming something. Most of the stuff I'm talking about isn't new, guys. It's been around forever. It's just getting more saturated and more potent. That's all. People getting lost mentally and emotionally in screens and forgetting about their real lives and family has been around since my grandparents were around. They vegged out on TV and forgot about people standing around them while they were, eating dinner too, and completely ignored you. So none of this is brand new. It's been happening to us for a long time. It's just happening at exponential rates at this point. I'm going to read Carson's right here. Let's do this. The crazy thing is how long it took to get the Industrial Revolution, but how fast civilization has grown ever further since then in such a short time span. It's going to be crazy in my lifetime to see how life is when I'm elderly. Carson, you're 100% right. Humans have never seen this amount of change ever in a short period of time in the history, so far as we know, in the known history of mankind. I say that very specifically, in the known history of mankind. There might be histories that are lost and forgotten forever that were more advanced than us at some point in time, and we just don't have any connection to them, so we don't know them. Dambria Terminator status is already here. We're already fucking zombies. We're already not living in the real world. We're already physically, mentally, and emotionally unhealthy and fat and lazy and miserable, most of us. And relationships are falling apart. Families are falling apart. Systems are now in place to be able to manage all of that shit falling apart. And then we hate it. We hate the systems, but yet we don't do anything to fix ourselves so that those systems aren't as necessary as they are today. Prisons, schools, rules, all the bullshit that we feed ourselves so that we can be these people. And I don't mean that in any harmful way, guys. That's the reality of the country and the world we live in, really. Let's see here. Christy, fucking rad question. How are you going to capitalize on it, Linda Boyce? I'm going to assume what you mean is how are we going to capitalize on the technologies we're describing. Let me have a little drink of this Angel's Envy and we'll get right into it. I'm going to tell you guys something too. The truth is, this might be one of the most important episodes I've ever done. This might be one of the most important things I've ever said on camera, to be honest with you. Important conversations. because it's going to change our lives forever, and it's already here. It's not going to fucking go anywhere. So she's saying, how are you going to capitalize on it? Just like anything, what would you do if you saw the Industrial Revolution? Who capitalized on the Industrial Revolution when it was in its fucking heyday, late 1800s, early 1900s? Who capitalized on it? The Rockefellers, and they became a world power. I mean, they run shit way more than you think politicians do. So they capitalized on it by building, oil rigs and factories and whatnot. They capitalized on it in a time where there was no regulation, so they could do whatever they wanted long enough to get in front. Read their history. They absolutely took advantage of something that was unregulated because it was brand new. Once it got regulated, they're the ones who set the fucking rules of regulation and worked with the government to do so. So everybody else had a harder time doing it, and they remained in power since. The same thing with YouTube. If you're an early YouTuber, you get all kinds of attention. If you're early, like we talked about the Industrial Revolution creating way for the digital revolution. Well, think about it. If you bought pizza.com day one of the internet, pizza.com, how much is that worth? Someone should Google it. How much is pizza.com worth? How much did it sell for day one? And how much does it sell for now? Meaning, how do you, your question is, how do you capitalize on it? You be the early adopter. Again, I'm going to warn you, here's the problem. Being an early adopter in the past has meant you could go a couple years with trying and trial and error. That is no longer true, because this isn't going to give you a 20-year span of adaptation. This is going to give you a very short, compared to some of these past adaptations, this is going to give you a very short window. That being said, you better, if you're not an early adopter already on these things and you've been dropping the ball, you're probably fucked. You're not going to be an early adopter. So capitalize on, if you're, in terms of capitalization, I don't know if that's the right word. To capitalize on it, you better move quick. Rochelle says, I believe the Egyptian times were more advanced than we are now. A lot has been hidden or lost, but so much has been uncovered. They could have been much more advanced than us in some ways, and maybe behind in others. It could have been totally different types of technologies. There's definitely evidence that proves they had technologies that we still don't understand, and this is primitive shit 6,000 years ago. Well, it seems primitive. I don't think it actually is. Brody Jade's right. You adapt. That's what you do. But it's not just adapt anymore, guys. It's not just an adaptation. Adaptation is what humans do really well, but there might be something new that's just as important, if not more important, maybe. I promise I won't let this go out today. That's my promise to myself. You don't just adapt, you adopt. You have to adopt. You have to be an early, not just adapter. You have to adopt early now. If you don't adopt early these programs and these technologies, you will lose to everybody else who did it first, because it's going to be fucking superhuman mentally and cognitively. It's going to be so beyond you. Anybody on it a minute before you is going to be farther along than you are and that you could ever be, because it will be in that exponential growth race that you'll never catch up. So I might be speaking in tongues at this moment to some of you guys. If I am, let me know. Amanda says, funny, hubby and I are enjoying a fire and talking about the same shit. This world is crazy. You're right. It is crazy. It's always been crazy. It's crazy to stab people with swords and take their land, take their women and their children and turn them into slaves and mothers. It's crazy to have cars, driving down the road at 100 miles an hour, and planes and rocket ships going to other planets. It's fucking crazy. The world is crazy. It's always been crazy. Go biblical, and people talking to burning bushes and the Ten Commandments, and people walking on water all the way down to the fucking beginning of time and shit being created. It's been crazy since day fucking one. The shit's insane. It's cool. We're floating on a rock, man. It's awesome. Sorry. Carson, sorry for the long responses. I'll do my best. But it sounds to me like you're already kind of just explaining the sort of adopting of these technologies in so many places, especially in your profession. It's definitely coming. It's already here. It's just going to be more advanced very soon. Let's see here. Kim's asking a question. She says, how do you think this is going to affect the medical field in the near future? What do you think will be developed to keep people probably certain people alive longer? Oh, what do you think will be developed to keep certain people alive longer? Oh, that's a really great one. I might be failing at the cigar thing. I always suck at it because kind of have to talk to you guys. I can't always be puffing on this thing, right? If there was somebody else to talk, I could let them talk while I puffed. So the technologies are going to be, it's going to be able to provide instantaneous information to people about their physical conditions well before they could ever be detected by doctors in the privacy of their own homes or whatever they live in, pods at the time, eventually. So that's going to affect the medical field because we won't need them. It's going to get quiet. It's going to get cold, just like everything else. Automotive, cars, roadways, going out to eat might still be a thing to a small degree, but shopping, all these things are going to get disrupted. The medical field for sure is getting disrupted because it's going to have technologies that can give you instant access to things even doctors are limited to doing, and before doctors could ever even like cancer cells being detected in your toilet because it's a smart toilet, or you have a wristwatch that detects them, and all of a sudden you're able to go get a checkup way sooner than you would have ever gone otherwise. So it's going to affect a lot of things. What to do about it? Just like anything, you have to capitalize early. You have to win and adapt. Well, you have to adapt to win, and you have to adopt to do so. So that's going to be true. Mom says, my reality is I was born living my life and I'm going to die. Some of my neurons will head back to the stars. 100% true for all of us. If I lose this thing, it sucks. I didn't want to. Let's see here. If it's John's on here. What's up, John? If it took humans tens of thousands of years to evolve to the point of developing digital technology, and now AI can evolve the same amount in less than 1 year, can humans adapt to change that quickly? No. John, that's a good question. No, eventually. Right now, I do think so. I think, matter of fact, if there's a doomsday quote, I'll say probably all night it's this. If you don't act now and you don't jump on it now, understand it now, you will lose you're going to be leading grandkids and great grandkids and maybe even your own kids or yourself right now down a path that you won't have the control over or the wherewithal to understand what there is to have control over. You need to understand where you as a human have your leftover superpowers that you could actually deploy against or use against this technology, not just against like it's an enemy, but utilize. But also, how can you adapt that quickly? Eventually you can't. It's not adapt anymore. Like I said, it's adopt. It's adopting, not adapting anymore. That's my personal opinion. Ashley said, oh, good question. Very, very good question, John. John says, Elon Musk is already doing Neuralink and giving quadriplegics and people with severe spines full mobility, severed spines. Exactly. So this is the thing is it can sound evil, but so does gunpowder. It's the same thing. It's sticks and stones is the physical world. And this digital superpower is going to be like essentially firearms. You know, in a way you could actually say super AI will eventually be laser beams to, you know, the real world as, you know, what the Neuralink would be to somebody's cerebral palsy or a severed spine or, you know, quadriplegics or something. Let's see here. Christy says, fucking pods. Yeah, we already have them, guys. Everybody sits in their room. Like, instead of living real life, you watch other people pretend to live real lives, and then you love it and talk about it. You say, oh, did you see that show? It's a fucking show. It's not even real. And yet you guys will sit and watch it for your whole fucking life, and you'll feel viscerally connected to it like it really mattered to you. I'm not saying don't enjoy films, movies, and music and all and art. I'm not saying that. I'm saying at the expense of your own fucking life, your own miserable life, you will find yourself looking down and feeling miserable about who you and what you've become, and you will use these technologies and advancements to medicate yourself by just living somebody else's fake life, right? Brad Pitt, like I said earlier, Brad Pitt goes into a movie and he plays a normal dude in a normal kitchen to be able to relate to you. Yet he, in real life, is nothing like that. This guy is living a totally different life that's totally unaware to most of us. But he plays this normal guy in a film, and then later on you watch the digital rendition of that film, that movie, which is, again, fine. But what you don't realize is that you're conditioning yourself over and over and over with TV, with radio, with information, with YouTube, with so much that it eventually becomes your download. It becomes you. It becomes your mind. And that, my friends, if you don't have control over and you're not aware of, you already suck at doing that, then you're going to have no fucking chance against these new tools. No, just none. It's going to be more advanced than you could ever dream of. So advanced, I don't think you'll be able to recognize it. Okay. Amanda says, cannot enjoy a fire without chemtrails. Damn, they're listening. Natalie says, I don't think humans can adapt. I think it's about complete control, matrix status. Again, when has it ever not been about complete control / matrix status? Before the digital world, kings, queens, rulers, dictators still had matrix status on you, control of the I mean, Hitler wanted control of the newspapers. He wanted control of the newspapers and everything written about it. So he had his officers in all of these fields where he could dictate what was said or not said for many reasons. Let's keep going here. I'll try to get to you guys. Let's see here. Privacy issues. Christy's mentioning 100%. But again, you already give. You're not that. Nobody's that worried about it. You already give all your information away. You guys, you don't understand. This thing isn't just listening. Everybody knows that, and it's funny because we're so slow to it. This is how inefficient we're going to be towards AI. This is just digital with algorithms built in. Not even AI yet necessarily. It's starting, but for years we trip out, right? Humans go, oh my God, I was talking about something and it popped up on my phone. That blows your fucking mind. You downloaded apps that said, give me access to your microphone and to your history and to your search and to your data. And then you're freaking out or mind blown that it then can predict things you want based off listening to that you gave it permission for. Guys, AI is going to make you look like an absolute fucking monkey. You're going to be banging your head on the walls wondering, why am I doing this? That's how dumb we're going to look if we're not paying attention. This has been digital so far, but eventually is going to go AI, and it started already, which basically means you're going to be massively inferior to it because it's not just listening to you like everybody knows. I don't think anybody disagrees. It's listening. It is. They admit it. Facebook admits it. They all admit it, that they are listening. It's not just that they're listening. You guys have to understand something. Ever since it's been listening, ever since these have had microphones, it's been listening. It's been fucking recording. It's been recording so that it can eventually aggregate all that information about you, where you've been, what you've done. You could go all day about this. It's going to have so much information about you that it could predict you better than you could, better than your mom could, better than your best fucking friends could, because it has your real data, not the data you want people to see. It's like relationships. How many years does it take for you to show who you really are to the person because you're showing your best? You're peacocking. And how long does it take for you to actually know who they are? Years. Okay? It takes years. AI is not going to have that limitation. It's going to be able to just know who you are because you've been recorded, and then eventually it takes that data and it can deploy it against you. I mean, they do it with marketing already, trying to get you to buy this, buy that. They've already been collecting your data every time you sign into a store with your credit card and say, oh yeah, I want the discounts, email me. You've already been giving this information away, so privacy isn't that important to everybody, it seems like. So Carson's right, privacy went out the door. Rochelle, I'm going to get to yours. Let's see here. I'm so glad I had my spiritual awakening when I did many years ago. It's a never-ending journey, and I learned a lot to learn to not live in fear and create something better for my daughter. And that's exactly it. I don't think this should be, if you're afraid of this, it's like saying, I'm afraid of cars. I don't want to adapt cars. I don't want to adapt the internet, or adopt the internet. I don't want to adopt to farming or using fire to cook meat. Like, it's not to be afraid of, and you're not going to stop it for sure. Some people have romantic ideas about that they think that this should end, somebody should stop it. You're not going to stop it. It's impossible. There's only two outcomes. This completely takes over and then eventually probably destroys us like an anthill, right? Just treats us like we're just in the way, like it's not even mad at us. It just accidentally runs us over. Most likely is what's going to happen very soon, very quickly, I should say, in terms of human history. Guys, there's no dinosaurs here, or at least there's no Tyrannosaurus Rexes. Sorry, Ian, if you're watching. There's no dinosaurs here, and I doubt any of you cried over that. Humans have been here for a short while compared to dinosaurs, and when we're long gone and you've had your experience here, that's the fucking point. You're in a gift right now, which is why it's so important to not fall victim to being a consumer of these products in trade of living your real life. That's kind of the whole message. I couldn't have said it better. So let's go to Kelsey. Thanks for being on here, guys, by the way. Kelsey said, saw this movie Gamer about 14 years ago. That's exactly it. But still, Gamer is a very limited version because you won't need to be in the real world doing much. Most people, like I said, are already sucked into this, right? Guys, think of how much you're already falling asleep to all this. Like, you just sit like this all day. We all do it to such a large degree, and you just consume. What? What are you consuming? Anything making your life better? Put this shit down. If you're going to use it to make things, because people are going to watch regardless of what you do. So might as well make things and utilize it. Jump on ship. But if you're just going to be a consumer, you're fucking controlled, man. You're ruined. I mean, you've been conditioning your minds for so long to already accept all these controls in place and willingly. Let's keep going down here. Let's see here. Natalie says they can control everything from your car to your freaking microwave. Anything electrical with a chip in it, anything electronic will definitely be controlled 100% outside of you. Let's get to Brody. She says, I heard this thing back when they couldn't control you. They brought you to the stadium. You watch lions eat people and watch gladiators fight. Now you watch movies and stuff. So that's exactly a good reference of what it's always been like this, guys. They've always taken you to the Coliseum to tell you that this is real life and see this gladiator do this thing. And now it represents, let's say, a certain political party. And now you're for it or against it, whatever it's trying to push you into what agenda. This has been around forever. It's nothing new. It's just what is new is the speed and the gravity of what is now here. It's like taking the Coliseum and just pumping it up full of steroids and making everybody, part of it instead of just the certain people that can make it into the Coliseum. Let's go here. I love to see you guys chatting up in the comment section below together. It's really cool. Good night, Ashley. Ashley's jumping off. So since we're at the bottom of the thread at this point, even though I'm getting a little behind, I'm sure, I'm going to get to some of the other responses real quick. This is a good one, actually, kind of where we left off a minute ago. On Instagram, Natalie is saying, do you believe as a society we are too far gone to stop AI / what's coming? It's never been a matter of stopping anything. It's a matter of, like I said before, adapting and adopting as soon and as efficient and effectively as possible, and being aware of the tools that are being deployed against you. Okay? People are going to take advantage of your mind by enslaving you to entertainment. Enslaving you to entertainment feels so much better for most weak minds, especially if you started this way, you've become a weak mind, than looking down at your body, looking down at your wallet, looking out at your life and your friends, and seeing how miserable it is because you've lived so long, this robot, connected to these things, instead of creating anything. You've been consuming so much. You really want to connect with yourself and adapt and adopt. Stop consuming so much and start creating, start making, right? Start doing. Like what I try to teach my apprentices here at the shop, or anybody I apprentice or work with or coach or anything. It's 90% execution, 10% planning. Anything reversed of that is to any other proportions is perverse. And yet I think most people have a little bit of fun when they go on that one vacation. They go outside sometimes. They decide, I'm going to put my feet in the dirt today because I haven't done it in a long time. It's like 10% of the time. Where 90% of the time you're fucking consuming. You're already a robot. You guys are already sucked into it and you don't even know it. And you're totally cool with it because one of the good and bad things about humans, like we've been talking about, is we fucking adapt. Doesn't mean we adapt to better or worse. It just means we adapt. So be fucking careful what you adapt to. Ashley says murder and crime will be like Minority Report. I don't know Minority Report, to be honest with you. I think it's the one where they like predict that you would do something wrong and then you're in trouble for it. Already here. Already here. Canceling somebody. Not. It's already here. They're canceling you because they don't like what you say, because they say that it could potentially be harmful, or that it is harmful and that someone might use it wrong. It's already here. So if that's what you're referring to, then technically you're right. Guys, I'm double fisting it. This is awesome. This is super fun. I didn't mean to do that. Subconscious. All right. So I'm going to get some of the other responses here too, guys. BR Hill, if you guys have been on here enough to know, BR Hill, he's on here. I'm not going to read his comment. I asked what people thought of AI, and Crystal said, can't lie, kind of scary. People are always afraid of things they don't know, right? That's another one of those things you have to just start to adapt to. People are always afraid of things they don't know. It's like going on a diet, going on a trip, going out of the country. It's part of it's scary. It's the human experience. Ashley said, I think one day it will outsmart us all. Again, I don't think it's one day. I think it's here. I think that one day has already happened. It's outsmarting us all. I think you could do things we only dream of doing, and it's only getting better. Natalie said, its tentacles are everywhere. Could have used it to end sex trafficking, insider trading, etc. Okay, so like using these technologies for the greater good is like gunpowder again. You can use it for farming. You can innovate it for good purposes, but eventually it will also, like anything, also be used by the enemy against you, right? The enemy typically, historically, has always been the few against the many, but the few have the control, the power, and the technology. Okay, they're going to deploy it against you. They always have, they always will, whether it's the Colosseums, whether it's gunpowder, whether it's the internet, whether it's AI. whether it's attention, whether it's algorithms and platforms, and they can, like if this sounds conspiratory, guys, I hate to say this, but you're just not woke up to reality. If this doesn't sound conspiratory and it sounds like reality, the one you guys are aware of, then good job. You're paying a little bit of attention, and that's one step in the right direction. Carson said it right. It won't ever be stopped. Can't be slowed. 'Tis the future. I'm going to talk about a couple of the technologies actually real quick that I've been seeing that really I have my eye on, that's just fascinating and just alarming. Again, not in like a warning, scary sense, but in a wake the fuck up and pay attention sense. Mandy's saying good night. Good night. Good to see you on here. There's technologies now that can write. I go on this technology, right? And I say to it, write a story I'm actually working on. Write a story about a young boy who is raised by a single mother, who's struggling to find his masculinity, his manhood, because his mom is a woman and she's very frustrated because she works all the time, and then she tries to date these losers and these losers piss her off, and she goes home fucking disgruntled and unhappy and miserable. She tries to talk herself out of it. Sound familiar? But she knows that she needs to raise this boy right, and she does her best to provide him with the kind of role models and things he needs. So she bought him a nice little she helped him make a little cardboard sword. And in the story, it illustrates the struggles of the relationship to the mother and the son, in hopes that the son doesn't one day grow up to be little Johnny who plays video games to be a good boy because it's way safer and easier, while mom's in the kitchen struggling to, swipe left or right to get a date, as well as make food. And after a long day of work, she's not exactly having it. But Johnny's being a good boy in his bedroom because he's too many times with the cardboard sword broke a lamp or raised a ruckus, or had the apartment manager pissed off the mom. So she dociled him by making sure she put him away. Instead, the alternative would be she encourages it, but encourages him to use it with great power comes great responsibility. So you can't be too loud. If you get kicked out, then it's your fault. If you're a man, you want to learn this masculinity traits, you're going to have to learn how to be part of the family and help it instead of harm it. So instead of taking that effort, it's way easier to clean your kid's room when they're little than it is to teach them to clean their own room when they're little. Because if you clean their room, you can do it once, but if you teach them to do it, it's going to take you multiple times. So the story, anyway, my point is, I entered the story, just like I told you right now. I took exactly those words. I put it into this program it's an AI program. I put it into this program and I told it to write me a 500-word story with depth to it, with a message to it. And it did instantly, within seconds. And then I said, write it within a Shakespearean twist. And then I said, write it more epic. And then I said, rewrite it again with an alternate ending and make one of them super inspirational with like a message. And it did it within seconds. Things humans could never do. I mean, it could, and this is just the beginning. So that's one of the tools. Another tool will be art. Art is going to be in the finger. It's like, imagine what Pinterest is to you guys. You guys bring them all in to get tattooed, Pinterest images, because you have access to them. Imagine not having access to them and you just have it in your mind, and then I have to just figure it out and do it, and with no reference. Well, with Pinterest, it makes them a lot easier for me to understand what you want because you have a plethora of things to pick from. Well, AI now has not only it can access all those things, but it can access it eventually so quickly that it can make versions of, essentially you guys are all going to be tapping into the creative process. If you want to be an early adopter/adapter, what you're going to do is you're going to use your creative mind to use these as tools to make things everybody else is rejecting because they're romantic about the past. But the past is fucking gone and you're already living in the future. You've already adopted these machines as part of your life, but you'll still resist it because of your ignorance and pride, apparently. I've done this. I've been guilty of this. Okay, so let's see. So Crystal said it, can't lie, it's kind of scary. Ashley said that one day it'll outsmart us all. It already has. Natalie is saying it could have been used for good, but power, selfishness, and greed took over. Natalie, that's what is the war between good and evil, is that everything can potentially be used for good or bad. It's what you do with it that matters. And there's always one side that uses it. There's always a group there will always be parts of society in existence that use things for what we consider good or bad. It's your job to figure out which side to be on and what to do with that. I think that's important. You can get philosophical as fuck and start talking about order and chaos and physics, but they say chaos breeds order breeds chaos. So they're apparently two wings on the same bird. So, or opposite wings on the same bird. Carson's pointing out some more different versions of AI. There's so many good ones. They can make people. look real. They can make you look like a different person. They can be applied to things like anything from pornography to stories and videos and things made in the past or brand new videos that have never existed. You can ask them to do all kinds of things. I mean, you can literally do all these, and then you can put goggles on, and then you can see it, and then now you can have it do whatever you want. And that's a primitive version of what's to come. Eventually, it's just going to read your behavior, scan your brain, get your heart rate and your heartbeat and your blood temperature and all your genetics through your wristwatch, which is already here. And it's going to deploy all these entertainments against you. So that's coming. They can already make people look real digitally on the internet that aren't real. They can already make them sound real. People that have never existed can say things they've never said before, meaning robots. You're communicating with them. They're going to answer phones. They're going to take your jobs. They're going to do things way faster than you on a way higher level, and they're never going to get tired. So just saying. Let's say Natalie said, if you live in the rearview mirror, you crash your damn car. 100%. That's perfect. And yes, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, Natalie, pretty quickly. Actually, I'll just say it now just to keep you guys hooked. We're going to get to AI babies. We're going to get to AI babies and sex robots. And if you don't think you'll have AI babies and you don't think you'll have sex robots, you're not paying attention. You guys already do, right? You guys remember those little keychains that you had to keep alive by paying attention to them? They were babies or pets or whatever. That's kind of an example of it, but way primitive, way fucking primitive. You guys are, I definitely believe eventually we can talk about that. I believe this is our future. Whether it's good or bad, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's coming. No pun intended. Let's see here. Okay, let's get to all the responses. If we haven't, I want to make sure that I did. And it looks like, yes, I did. So thank you guys for submitting that. You guys know I always appreciate it. Let's take a look here. All right. So we've been on here for an hour. Landy, yes, that's spicy. So we might as well stay on this topic. AI babies. Let's get to AI babies. I'm going to need a little more of this before we start talking about making babies. So, I mean, just to, again, warm you up with this so it's not such a smack in the face, because people will, I know how you feel, guys. I get it. Especially my age or older, much older even. You're going to resist this stuff, of course, naturally, because again, for all of human history, you didn't have to resist much of what grandparents said or did, or even parents or friends, because the world moved so slow in terms of adaptation and adoption, because technologies took so long, like the printing press was so fucking primitive. It's not going to be like that with AI. It's not like that now. So what I'm saying is there's going to be a lot of things. We're probably the first few generations to exist that have to deal with viscerally having a negative reaction to the new technologies that are being adopted. Okay, we're the first generations of people, I think, that we know of in terms of human history. I'm talking about previous generations of people that were maybe advanced, not that argument, different conversation. We already have trouble now, and it's only going to get worse. So I understand people rejecting these ideas, but you got to think about this. Sex with robots, digital babies. Okay, think about this. And Natalie's saying she's drinking tequila. That's awesome. And Landy, you're right. That's spicy. I'm going to tell you right now, people are already having sex with robots, right? I'm not going to get too spicy about this. There's plenty of ladies on here. You can understand what I'm saying. You're already using prosthetic male parts. Eventually men will be using, and they're already starting, prosthetic female parts. Eventually going to mix that with AI, some fucking virtual goggles, and all that technology is going to be deployed against you. And no babies will be being had. If anybody's not aware of the baby, I'm going to get some of my, let's say, timelines and maybe a little bit off, but generally speaking, I'm 40 years old. It's 2023. When I was a kid, it was, the American dream was 3 to 2.5 babies, right? Wife, picket fence, house, job, retirement, car. Before me, my parents, it was, 3, 4, 5 kids, right? Most people had somewhere around, the average was like 3.5 kids for my parents, the baby boomer generation. For my grandparents, you're talking 5, 6, 7 kids. Before that, you're talking 9, sometimes 12 kids, right? Not everybody, but let's say the average, if you look up 1901, what's the average babies per household? Even further, go further back in history. The average babies per household as opposed to now. Well, if you guys don't know what it is now, it's 0.5 per household, right? During the beer bug shutdown, if you guys are aware, porn use went up by 33%. Okay, sexual activity between partners went down by 33%. It has not recouped. People have adopted new ways, robots, screens, prosthetics, virtual, digital, whatever. They're already in this matrix, and they're already getting sucked in. My point is, it's not going to stop. It's going to keep going. We're already all doing it. How many have heard a song and they cried? How many have watched a movie and they got excited or sad? How many have seen something on film or on digital media and got turned on? Okay, this is already happening. It's just going to happen with more visceral experiences once the technology is deployed fully and it's developing quicker. Because right now we're developing AI. Once AI, and it's here, now that we've developed it, it's going to develop itself something that will be godlike to us. I mean, it could be right in front of us and we won't even fucking see it. So we're already having 0.5 kids, right? Carson's saying, couldn't imagine having 0.5 of a child. Well, you should have a child because sometimes they're only about 0.5 of a child, and maybe the other 0.5 of a monster. No, but what's scary is it's already less than one child per household, guys. Eventually it's going to be what? Less than 0.25? And then what? 0.01? Point what? Like eventually I really think we'll have the anti-population problem, right? Instead of a population problem like everybody thinks we have. We don't. We have the opposite of a fucking problem. What are you gonna do with all these cars and these houses and these roads and all this infrastructure that was built for such a society of 300? If you do the math, right? We have 300 million Americans in America, right? That being said, what if you cut that down to a third? Right? You cut that down to a third, 100 million Americans, right? But yet we have an infrastructure for 300 million and we keep growing it. What happens when we get down to 50 million Americans and we have all this infrastructure doing what? For what? Who's going to fucking run your equipment and your shit? I mean, who's going to be doing all this? Like, who's going to take care of all of your infrastructure that we've built? It's going to fall apart. Robots. That's the answer, by the way. Let's see here. I don't want to miss you guys. I love when you jump on here and get spicy. Carson said, I've got 4 two-step kids of my own. I did my part. 27. My grandma was the 13th born out of 27 children. That's insane and really kind of actually beautiful. Let's see. Brody says, get it, grandma. My grandma raised 22. I could not. Yeah, it's just not the world anymore. Like I said, it's, women are now career-minded women, which means, and I mean that respectfully, career-minded, because women might not be career-minded and still have to pursue a job to be able to survive, right? That's the reality. That wasn't part of human history. Women stayed home, raised the kids, helped the family, while the men went out and worked. That's not happening now. So no doubt there's not as many children. This might be intentional. Might. I personally believe it's all intentional, actually, and it's not going to end. Natalie says, my mom had 9 siblings. Exactly. And most of us, since we got these numbers, this is huge numbers. Danbury said her grandma was 13th born out of 27. Natalie saying her mom had 9 siblings. Landy saying our grandma raised 22. Let me know how many you guys have. I personally have 2. How many do you guys have? Just out of curiosity. Let's see. Heather said, give me land and I'd be down for more. I'm with you on that 100%. By the way, Heather, hope all's well. Tell Justin I said hello. But I'm the same way. I would have loved a bigger family. It just isn't the world I live in right now. Isn't the world I created for myself. Chantel saying I tuned in way too late. Yes, I did answer your question, by the way, so you're going to have to go back and watch. And yes, you'll have to rewatch the whole episode because it's been great. By the way, guys, thanks for being on here. This is awesome. Appreciate you. Heather said she would not want to raise more in the city. Yeah, I wouldn't want to raise any in the city if I had a choice, but it is very convenient. So Kimmy's on here saying she has 2. Natalie has 2. These are friends of mine that are my age, close to it. Kimmy says her parents had 4. Chantel says, I used to have 2 siblings. Danbury says, I have 1. So 3 fosters. I get it. I'm not discounting them at all. I'm just saying that in terms of biological kids we're reproducing, this is the number. You have 1 and 3 fosters. And Rochelle saying she would have loved to have more if she could have. I'm with you. I would have loved more. I have 2. It sounds to me like the numbers are pretty clear, at least in this audience, that the numbers are much lower than our parents, right? We know this for a fact. So where's this all going? What does this mean? What do you do? We've been talking about some of this, but what do you really do? Like, what do you actually physically go and do tonight, if you wanted to, tomorrow, right now, if this is all true? I think number one thing you always do, like anything, think of it as like a battle strategy. So if you guys can come up with this, what do you do? If this is a battle strategy, meaning you're fighting for your emotional and mental life, literally. And I do think this is why it's so important to have this episode. This is fun for me, by the way, guys. I love this stuff. It's way more important to me than most of the things that I talk about or do, in terms of, leveling or let's say hierarchy of ideas. This is one of them. This means a lot to me. Christy's saying one boy. Yeah, so let's go. Ryan, I have 1 and 2 halves. So again, biologically speaking, 1. And then of course we don't discount the 2 halves, but we're all having less than 1 kid per household. Now, most of these people, like I said, are my age. So it's 2.5 is the average, but anybody younger is going to be less than 1, which is pretty insane. Let's see here. Natalie, yes, being aware of key is key. So what is a battle strategy to be able to, and I really do emphasize battle, to manage the things we're talking about? Like what would be your first step if you were actually at war with something against you? What would be the first thing you would do? Christy says it's money and fun to watch. Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you guys for being here. Of course, always. Here we go. Kimmy says knowledge is key. Educate yourself so you are somewhat prepared in the future. You have to gather intel, 100% gather intel to be able to have any strategy. You can't have a strategy to deploy if you don't have intel. So you absolutely need that. So knowledge is very, very important. To understand all of human history, technologies have come along. Ships have come along. Planes have come along. The internet's come along. Robotic prosthetic, penises have come along. Like all kinds of shit is here. Pun non-intended, but those have come along. Okay, a long way. We could keep going on that one. I'm sure a lot of you don't disagree. So anyway, my point is that knowledge is it. Gathering intel so you know what to do has always been key. It's always been true. It's just probably even more true today because these technologies will move very fast. Matter of fact, I'm working on something right now. If you guys don't know, I'm working on building courses and classes right now, basically to aggregate my experience as a tattooer, as a business person, as a mentor, a teacher, or a leader, and someone who's made a whole life, doing this as a tattoo artist here in Clovis. It's really important to me that I take and aggregate that information, put it and make it available to people who are interested to learn. For one reason, I'm just creating things right now, classes and courses. I'm even doing them in person. If you guys didn't know, it's all on the website. You guys can check it out. highsierratattoo.com. Go check it out. I'm making things I wish I had when I was a kid. One reason is just simply I wish I had them, so I feel like it's an opportunity for me to make things that I wish I had, and I feel like that makes the world a better place. The other reason I'm getting into it right now and not procrastinating anymore, what lit a fire under my ass, was seeing these technologies being deployed and seeing what they can actually do. I don't think it'll be much longer until I'm literally useless to a large degree. Most of what I will be doing in terms of teaching and training in a very short amount of time, I think will be absolutely diminished by what these technologies will be able to do. I think that's absolutely true, which maybe I shouldn't say that before I make the classes, because then why would you buy them? I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know where it's going to exist. I don't know. We can't predict the future completely, but we know that eventually this thing is coming. Let's see here. Christy said, I mean, buying stock, getting in early. If that's a good example. If you bought, Coca-Cola when it first started, you may be super rich now. But that would have taken 100 years or more. It's not going to take 100 years for you to invest into the knowledge, to understanding the technologies that are being made, like AI. It's not going to take 100 years for you to find out what they do. It's going to take you years at best, months probably. You guys give me a yes or no if you're familiar with AI at all. Like familiar meaning you understand it to a degree and you've seen it deployed, or you've seen it in action, or you've used it even. Give me a yes or no, just out of curiosity. There's 21 of you on currently live, so give me a yes or no. Some of you watching that aren't commenting at all, jump in. Give me a yes or no. Let's see here. Carson says, excited to see your content you come up with. As someone still learning in the industry, I find online is invaluable to myself. I totally agree. It's the same thing for me, which again is why I'm jumping on it. Okay, so people say yes. Heather says yes. Rochelle says yes. Desiree, hello and thank you for being on here, is saying yes. Brody is saying yes. Lenore, yes. John, Brian, yes. Great. So this is nothing new. For anybody not saying yes, nobody said no yet, but for those not saying yes or not responding or watching this at a later time, It won't be more than a few months, maybe 6 months, max 9. You'll be hearing all about this, all about it completely, and very familiar with it eventually. You'll be using it like you're using a smartphone. Let's see. Kelsey is saying definitely. Thanks for being on here, guys. Azura is saying yes. Natalie is saying I'm well aware, become more aware when I noticed its effect on our youth. 100%. So think about this, how important this is really fucking true. Like, guys, we're dinosaurs, right? If you're my age, 40 or older, and we're coming into this new world, which is here, it started already, and we're raising these children, we're examples for these children. What kind of examples are you being? Right? Do you think it really affects children in a positive way or helps them at all to say, oh, kids these days just want to play video games? Well, who the fuck taught them that shit? Kids don't just buy video games with money they don't have, right? Somebody's doing this for them. So take some fucking responsibility for sure. But also ask yourself, what did you find valuable in your life that really truly was rich for you in a positive way, and do it for them. Let your fucking ball drop, take the video games away, take the phone away, and say, look, you can have an hour of that a day max if you've earned it. Okay. 45 minutes is even better, maybe less. And maybe not every day, maybe every couple of days, maybe every fucking couple times a week. Just stand the fuck up and raise your kids right. Raise your community right. Raise your grandkids right. Do for them the things you wish would have been done for you, and stop blaming it on them. Jesus, it's like not going to do them any fucking good. These kids, you're talking 15 or younger, right? Like they're eating what you're feeding them, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Let that sink into your fucking thick skulls. They're eating what you're feeding them. Let's see here. Dambria. And if God doesn't bless me with a man, there's always a robot and solar vibrators. Yes, there will be robots. We should talk about the sex robots. I think the sex robots will be fun to have fun conversations because it's spicy, it's weird, it's awkward, but it's already here. You guys are already using them. You girls. Maybe some of you guys. I don't know. I don't know who's using them. Maybe all of you are using them, maybe not. You don't have to answer that. There's no necessity for yeses and nos there. Although we're still getting some yeses based off if you're familiar with AI. That's cool. Natalie says, my father was valuable in my life. Deeply, deeply valuable, I'm sure. And that's a good one because that can be replaced, unfortunately. I shouldn't say replaced. We can easily put in place a father's technology instead, and it's not working very well. It's not working actually at all. It's doing the opposite. It's a lot of harm. So that's one of the good ones. Ryan says, what if one parent does that and the other does the opposite? Well, if you can't force the other one to do something you want, then you have to maybe overcompensate or at least just do your best, right? If there's nothing you can do about it, there's nothing you can do about it. But if there is something you can do about it, you should by all means take every action to correct it. And then while the kids are in your custody or in your, home, then it's all on you. It's all on you. And if it's half the time or on weekends, then that's what you get. And you get to absolutely just hone in on making sure that that's your point. I did that with my children. I made sure for a fact they knew how to fucking play outside, how to enjoy the outdoors. I cannot stand kids that are like, I don't want to get dirty. Fuck that. My kids were not going to be like that. And now my daughter wants to work in the forestry, which is awesome. Let's see here. Heather says the only way to survive deployment. Thank you for that information. Amanda says, I'm honestly guilty into giving into the world. We eat fast food and have video games and help sometimes. Amanda, so again, like gunpowder was, let's say gunpowder, and maybe it's true that it was invented for farmers to be able to remove stumps and blow holes in walls and get access to waterways. And then it was used for bad, used for good, but it's also like, think about like a firearm with a bullet that has gunpowder in it. Is it good or bad? Is that firearm good or bad? Is the bullet good or bad? It's just a firearm and it's just a bullet. What you decide to do with it is what matters, right? If you're going to use it for good or you're going to use it for bad. If you're going to go out and have a nice fun meal with your kids and not worry too much about what you're eating, as long as it's not, something absolutely terrible. I mean, terrible in the fact that it would hurt you immediately. Then having fun and living your life, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's living that way to such a degree that it's diminishing the quality of your life is where then you are absolutely at fault. So Ashley's agreeing with Amanda. She's saying, Amanda, you're not alone. I'm guilty of it too. Guys, I'm not saying move to like some foreign land, live off grid and eat, carrots for the rest of your life or something. What I'm saying is just pay attention, bring awareness to the things you're doing. And, I'm not trying to preach to you. I'm actually speaking from experience, things I've said and had to convince of myself that, raising kids, I'm not going to allow them to be fat. They're like, it's in my control. So I decided before they were even born, like, my kids will not be fat. Pretty fucking simple. I also decided my kids will enjoy the outdoors. They will be useful. They will learn skills. They will be respectful. They will hold doors open. All right. They will love each other and they will support each other. They will also be part of the family. They will feel engaged. They'll feel like they matter. I never had a doubt in my mind that I would make sure that would happen. I've heard parents say, for example, they abdicate their position by saying, you could do everything right and raise your kids perfectly and they could still come out to be a piece of shit. Wrong. Completely fucking wrong. You can abandon that right away. For those of you that think that, I'm not saying there's not variables and that everything works out perfectly. I would never say that. I know that there's unique situations, but what I'm saying is, if you do everything right, the best you can, and you give it your all, like my parents, for example, perfect? Definitely not. By far, not perfect. But did they do everything right? No. But the things they did were enough for us to be the kind of people we are, me and my sisters, and to love and give that respect back to my parents, which I admire deeply, both my mother and my father. I admire them so deeply. That's the point. The things they gave me and the things they instilled in me is the point. Did we eat fast food? Sometimes. Did I play video games? Sure. Was I an idiot? Yes. Did I act like a fool sometimes, dye my hair, and a little punk rock kid just wreaking havoc? Sure. Did I get in fights, break things, spray paint on walls? Yeah, I was a fucking idiot. But my parents loved me enough to eventually, they raised me to be the kind of man who could eventually correct my course. So it's not about being perfect. It's about being the best you can and just pushing for that. And I think that's what's important. And Amanda, I've met you, obviously. I know you. I've seen your kids. I've heard about your family. I've heard the way you talk about them. And I think that it's very respectful, the mother you've become. And I'm sure even the father that they have is a wonderful example. So it's really cool to see that. Let's go here. Kelsey said, hopefully I'm saying that right. Kelsey said, moved my kiddos to the mountain Shaver Lake in 2013. It was the best decision I ever made for us. Wonderful experience for the kids. Good quality air, hopefully, most of the time. And the outdoors. See, let's do... Carson says, less disease spread with spicy robot as opposed to human interaction. Of course, if cleaned properly. 100%, maybe that'll be even a selling point, is stay away from humans. Or tired of getting sick, tired of cross-contamination, tired of those pesky STDs. I don't think they call them that anymore. Try now a new sex robot. I really hope nobody cuts and clips that and puts it in a fucking video. But yes, Carson, there's going to be benefits to it. But there's also, even if it sounds funny, there's going to be benefits to it. Massive benefits. One is possibly to cure loneliness for many of men out there who are literally sexless. It's another topic for another day. But look at the statistics, guys. It's pretty fucking grim. Most men get zero attention from most women. Most women get almost all the attention from almost all the men. And that's always true. You can not only argue it, but it's facts. I've lived it. I've seen it. All the men that I know have lived it and seen it. It's facts. So there's a lot of lonely dudes out there that just might cure it. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it will definitely be adopted, this new way of interaction. Let's go here. Natalie, she's saying, Amanda, you're not guilty. We'll make choices that are easier for us in the moment that's needed for survival sometimes. 100%. Get yours, do it right, and love your family. Raise them best you can, best you know. All right, it's going to be different than your grandparents. They're going to do it different for their kids than you did, but it's that you did your best, and that's what really fucking matters. If you know there's something you're not doing right that you could be doing better, and you're absolutely abdicating yourself as in the position of being a mom or a dad or a leader or a role model, and you're doing something for sure you should stop doing, and you know it, and you keep failing, then it's on you. If you know you shouldn't do this and you keep fucking doing it and you do nothing to correct it, that's where you fuck up. That's where the fuck ups are. Rochelle said, I love that mom and dad allowed us to be who we were, and they didn't try to control us when we were growing up. They led by example instead. Exactly what they did. And I'm really surprised because dad's a pretty strict, stern, intimidating man. And he still let me get away with colored hair, purple hair, spiked mohawks, baggy clothes, loud music, just a total fool. And I enjoyed it. I'm not saying, it's still punk rock at heart for sure, but I just have no hair anymore. A little bit of hair, a little bit of that going on. Ashley, that is not the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over. You've all heard this, and expecting a different result. What I'm defining is a failure, which is somebody who knows they shouldn't do something and keeps doing it because it's too hard the other way. They know they shouldn't do this thing. It's come to their attention that it's clear they should stop. It's for the better. They know it's for the better. They believe it's for the better, and they still don't fucking do it. That in itself is not the definition of insanity. It's the definition of a fucking loser. It's someone who loses. I'm not saying you're a worthless human. What I'm saying is you will lose. If you keep doing those types of things, you fucking lose. It's that simple. If you keep eating the things you know you shouldn't over and over and over, and that's it, you're going to lose. Keep drinking every single fucking weekend, boozing it up, smoking it up, ruining your brain cells, ruining your energy, ruining your Sundays, whatever it may be, you're going to fucking lose. You're going to lose to anybody who's not doing it. So that's going back to like AI and artificial intelligence and technology like I'm using here. I could just say, well, I'm just going to tattoo, make money and be good, right? Like I've always done. Well, wrong, because what if somebody else is tattooing, making money, not even as good as I was, but then they're also using things like this to communicate and build relationships with people. Well, then I lose because they're deploying technology in a way that's positive and useful, and I'm not. Therefore, I lose. So you have to use these things to your advantage, guys. Let's see. Danbury says, men outnumber women, so it's surprising men have trouble finding a partner. Technically, it's pretty 50-50 in an overall scope of things. But yes, in terms of behavior, especially partner selection or sexual selection or the sexual marketplace, men outnumbering women, you're saying it's surprising men have trouble finding a partner? The majority of men get almost zero attention from almost all the women, and almost all women get a ton of attention. Try any dating app and look at the statistics. 80% of girls, right? 80% of the women get the attention from all of the men. 80% of the men get almost zero attention from almost 80% of the women. There's a very few select amount of women from that group that don't get selected for attention. Very few, very, very few. And there's a huge group of men who don't get selected for any attention whatsoever on the opposite end. So those are just facts. You can actually look this up. There were studies they were doing. I won't be able to cite it now because I don't want to misquote, but I believe it was Stanford. And there were studies they were doing about male and female behavior, especially online and in terms of sex and relationships. And the data is infinitely clear. Let's see here. Ashley said, I must have misunderstood you. Don't exactly remember what that was about. Let's keep going. Lenore saying good night. Good night, Lenore. Everybody can say good night to her. Let's see here. Christy Marie Del Toro saying fucking boozing it up on a Wednesday. Okay. Well, I hope those are the right decisions and that you're living your life and doing your best. That's awesome for you. Dambria, for every man, I believe there's 7 women. The older you get, the less men there are, probably because they do risky stuff. For every man, I believe there are 7 women. That's, I don't know what you're citing there, but that's definitely not true in the world. The older you get, the less men there are, probably because they do risky stuff. Well, that's true. Men die earlier. They also do way more dangerous stuff and physically much harder, taxing, stressful stuff physically. So yeah, it takes their body out pretty quickly. Brody's saying night, Lenore. So guys, we covered a lot actually. If you guys have any questions, I would love to get into them. I've been rambling on for an hour and a half. It feels again like 20 minutes. So thank you for that. I love being on here with you guys. To me, this is fucking fun. Let's see here. And Dambria is saying also, sorry, that's reversed. There's more women than men. Again, like I said, it's the world population is pretty 50-50 for the most part. The only variations are like maybe 1 to 4 in certain college towns or even countries that are, smaller. But for the most part, no, it's 50-50. Azur, I'm glad that you enjoy the conversation. I love when you guys jump in. So jump in, ask questions if you want. Give me your responses. Let me know where you stand on this. Is AI good or bad? Is AI good or bad? Do you believe that sex robots, it's just a funny way to use it, but do you believe that they're good or bad? Do you believe AI mixed with them? Because that's the trick, is wait for robots to be downloaded the AI. And then, there's population 0 at that point, I believe. And that's where the digital babies come in, because people will not be having babies, but they will want to know what it's like to have one, and they will meet their digital babies online. I promise you. You won't just be meeting digital babies online. This is where it gets a little bit fucking scary. You'll be meeting anybody online, meaning people of the past that died a long time ago. Whatever aggregate of information there is about them, it will use that to deploy the most likelihood type experience you could have if they were real, still here today. Whether that's lost loved ones, people you don't know or have never met, movie stars, you in every variation, or somebody else in any variation, though that's just possible. It's technically already here. It will just get more advanced is all. Let's see here. Brody says, Tesla drives you where you want to go. Well, I don't know if that's what you named your sex robot, but that sounds to me like a good name and a good way to put it, unless you're just talking about cars. Christy said, you, not me. It's Wednesday. Yes. And I am actually having a glass in an hour and a half period of time, and do enjoy it. Matter of fact, I'm kind of babysitting it, so maybe I shouldn't do that. But I do love me some whiskey. Raises testosterone levels, kills bacteria. Heather is saying 50.4% men, 49.6% just from a quick search. It's 50-50. I mean, it's almost always, relatively speaking, that way, with slight variations across the country or across the world, depending on countries and rules and laws, even, especially in China. Carson says, great topic tonight. I'm off to bed, finish up my shift. Night. Good night, Carson. Thanks for being on here. Always a pleasure. Azira is saying AI and technology tapping to our past loved ones. That's going to happen. Look, if they could already go online and look up deep fake people that aren't real. It's computers talking right now, and they're just about as real. Some of them as real people could get. All it needs is, like I said, an aggregate of information based off of somebody's behavior. And the more that aggregate of information is complete, meaning your behavior for long periods of time throughout the course of your life, your location, mind you, your location, your topics, your tones, the people you're around, how long you're around them, how long you were doing it for, how long you're doing this, what you bought, why you bought it, how you felt when you bought it, who you're around when you felt like how you bought it and why. It's going to know so much. This is recording everything you've ever been doing. That information will be deployed against you. And meaning it could even, once I'm long gone, 1,000 years from now, it can absolutely predict me to such a high level, probably better than anybody that knows me, to where it could reproduce me. Whether that's me or not, that's, again, a whole different conversation. Because us eventually being uploaded into the cloud mentally will be possible if this all continues. Most of what I'm saying tonight is, of course, assuming that the trajectory in which we're on brings us there. Of course, any catastrophic event could happen at any time. It's happened in world history before. Not to get too scary, but that's a reality, right? If this trajectory happens and nothing interrupts it, no comet, no nuclear war, then these things will be true. We'll be having digital babies. We'll be having mostly only digital sex, maybe only digital sex. People will absolutely evolve until eventually there's nothing else to evolve, and I think we'll be uploaded to consciousness, whatever that means. And maybe that's the story of, the biblical story of good and evil, and eventually God returning home to save his children. And that maybe will be it. So when we're free of our physical bodies, just a thought, free of our physical bodies. So conceptually, cognitively, we can take our consciousness, if you will, a gift, real gift from God, and upload it and leave these bodies one day. Maybe that's what the Bible's been talking about. Maybe. But the Bible sounds so primitive because it had to be understood by men for the last 2,500 years. So it's written in a way we can all understand. So I have to decode it. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe we're all waiting for our Father to take us home. Anyway, that's just a thought. Let's see here. Dambria, the human development class I'm taking had said more women than men by the age of 55. Women outnumber them 7-1, which working in retirement homes, I get it. Absolutely. After a certain age, that's what I'm saying, there's going to be variables. After a certain age, of course, there's going to be way more women than men, no doubt. Azur says it is happening, 100%. It's always been happening, Azur. That's the beauty of it. The only thing new is the rate in which it's being deployed, right? That's what's hard to adapt to and adopt. But it's always been happening. We've been on this path. It's a blessing for us to be floating on this fucking rock in space at who knows how fucking fast, maybe hundreds of millions of miles an hour as a total number, while it's all expanding all at the same time. And we're just these little fucking peas matter of fact, there's no good metaphor. Not even a speck of dust is a good metaphor to understand what we are on this planet, much less this planet to the galaxy, and this galaxy to the universe, and this universe to all of existence, maybe even multiverses. There's no good analogy to display or to give you an understanding, a conceptual understanding of what we actually are to this universe. I would say the best way to describe what humans are to the universe, this will be hard for some people, so open up your mind a little bit. What you are to the universe, the best way to describe it is nothing. That's what you are to the universe. If you were gone, the universe doesn't change at all. Almost nothing in the known universe. If you were to take all things and calculate it, and then take you out of the equation, almost every single thing in the universe would be absolutely, completely, 100% untouched. That's what we are to it. So it's already been happening. It's been happening since the beginning of time. And what a beautiful ride that it is that we get to be on. So it's wonderful. Let's see here. Ryan, by the way, if you guys are wondering why I have these glasses on, there's a new feline around these parts, and it affects me in a negative way. So thanks, son. Ryan says, how do you have something with a robot, though? It's a robot. Okay, that's a good question. And I think it's valid because you're thinking like a guy around my age raised in a physical world. And, we were raised at the end of the Industrial Revolution until eventually we got digital. And now we're going fully into digital with AI and virtual worlds. So I'll explain that to you. It says, how do you have something with a robot, though? It's a robot. Well, how do you have something with a song? How do you have something with a movie? How do you have something with a video that turns you on or that makes you sad, that makes you angry? Have you never seen a post somebody put up? It's not them. It's a digital representation of them. They put something up and it pissed you off. It made you mad. It makes you angry. It makes you excited. It makes you nervous. It makes you scared, right? And it's just a digital representation of something somebody did. So why couldn't AI be way more advanced than us? Wait till super AI comes out. Why couldn't it make things, especially robots, do things 10 times better, 100 times, or 1 trillion times better than a song, a movie, or a video? So think about that. Let that sink in. Now, your argument might be because there's a person on the other end of this experience I'm having, meaning somebody posts something that pisses me off. It's because it was a person on the other end. Okay, well, this AI will be able to replicate that person completely. So it's going to still elicit the same response, whether it's a real person or not. So that's my answer to that. I hope that makes it clear. I don't mean that to sound rude, but that's hard to swallow when you first start to consume that. But it's, like I said, I think that's something you're going to have to come to terms with in your own way and find out what that means. Let's see here. Rochelle says, and this is going back to another comment, Brody Jade, they will be able to sell it to society that has been becoming more and more sterile from various things. Examples, pesticides in our food, among other toxins. I'm not sure what that exactly came from. Let's keep going here. Damer says, but let me know these dating sites. Well, Google them. I don't use them. I'm still going to go old school for as long as I can and reject VR. Not because I don't want to adopt it and adapt to it. I'll be happy and glad to make things on VR for you to consume, but I'm not interested in partaking just because I'm really interested in preserving the experiences I've had that matter to me, which are more real experiences in the real world, in the physical world. I think the distinction will be, and something your grandkids, everybody watching this, your grandkids or kids or great grandkids will eventually not really have a distinction, a distinct difference between real world and digital world in terms of value. There won't be a distinction, meaning they won't really see that the real world has more visceral, tangible value to it than the digital world. That's going to get that playing field will be, if not even, it will be completely in favor of the digital world for your kids, for sure. They will be pissed when they lose their social media. They will be pissed when they lose all their skins on Fortnite. If they lose all the cars they ever bought digitally and all the space and land or whatever it becomes to, their own self, even their own image inside that digital world gets destroyed. They will matter more than their physical world. And I can prove it because you guys are trying to look prettier online than you really do in real life. And that matters to you so much that if somebody posts a picture of you that doesn't look filtered, you're embarrassed and you're pissed. So I'm already fucking right and we're already living it. So have fun with that. Let's see. Kim says, so the sex robots, of course. Will you pick features like when you buy a car? I think in a primitive sense, that's true. Yes, of course. You already do. You can already order these and you can pick all the features: skin tone, color, hair, size, shape, weight, everything. And if you're poor, you can actually buy mini versions of it because you might not have money for the bigger version, but eventually that'll be so cheap, just like cell phones now, It won't be a barrier. But even worse is eventually, I don't think it will be sex robots. I think it'll be all digital and it will be all virtual. So the robots will be gone and we will just be left with this experience through, let's just say, I don't know what you'd call it, but I think I'm going to start calling it the tube people. Once you're really locked into your tube, you're fed through a tube, you live in a tube, you fucking eat and drink and shit in a tube. That's it. I mean, think about it. We're already doing it, guys. It's just all in separate pieces. Think about what the cell phone replaces. A network that can go live and broadcast. All the books in the world, all the media in the world, all the movies in the world, all the libraries in the world, right here. Much less all the photos you've ever had, all the pictures you've ever had or all ever taken, all the conversations you've ever had, all the locations and all the data and all the maps and all the information available in the world. Right fucking available in here. Wait until all of that is put into a virtual world and accessible in an instant without you having to actually say or do anything. It will deploy it against you based off of its functionality and your, let's say, it'll be deployed against your downloaded information, your saved information, not just it's listening, it's saving again. It'll be deployed against you. So you won't even have to worry about picking features. It will have already done it for you times 10. So eventually we'll be tube people. Natalie says, God comes back and says, not today, Satan. Well, what the truth about that, Natalie, we've talked about this a little, is whatever God's will is, will be, right? He will not falter. And whatever that means, it's not our job to determine, but it is our job to accept and to find ourselves on the right side of it, correct, in the end. Brody's saying, like the movie Demolition Man. See, it's already working, guys. Like, we already know enough movies and scenarios and things that have warmed us up to this. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying we already know enough of this that we've already been conditioned to accept these things, right? Movies have conditioned us to accept these things that are not so scary when they happen. Matter of fact, I would assume that that's somewhat very intentional. Let's see here. Danbury saying, good question, Kimmy. 100%. Yeah, you can already pick the features. You can already do that. Just like you pick, well, think about this. Again, we're talking about like as if this is going to happen someday in the future. It's already happening. Can't you already pick the features of your own sex robot? Don't you already pick the size and the color and the shape and the abilities and the price and I mean, I don't know. It's already a consumer product, right? So women are pretty familiar with this to an extent. Let's see here. Azure said, facts, love that's idea. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, if you want to clarify that. And Danbury said, between the information on your phone and DNA, it's going to be pretty scary. 100%. Think about how easy you guys are all scared about your fucking information, but you've been sending your DNA to find out if you're a Viking or a fucking Norse god or, some African Saharan desert, native tribal person or related to. You've been sending away the most important data about you that could exist, which is your DNA. It says everything and knows everything about you, right? From what your face looks like to the kind of diseases you're most likely to have to, how long you might even live or how tall you'll be and what kind of kids you'll have. Your DNA is every bit of information that exists, and you give it away to Google, right? When you sell these, send your information off, and people still complain about privacy. Fucking hilarious. That's how far behind we are. That's how stupid we are. That's how slow we are. These machines won't be like that, guys. They'll outthink you in every fucking way. We can prove it right now. Ashley says, more men are born than women, but they level out due to lifestyle habits of men. Yes, that's interesting. So in terms of births, like I said, I don't know. I just know that when it comes to dating and when it comes to the sexual marketplace and in terms of families and starting families and having partners, it's pretty 50-50. In terms of births, I don't know. And in terms of deaths at the age of, let's say, geriatric ages, I'm sure that it's not exactly the same. Rochelle, or we are the universe. Well, we're definitely not the universe for sure, because the universe is infinitely grander and greater than us, but we are absolutely a part of it. If anything, I would say we're the universe having human experience. That's probably a good way to put it. So don't completely disagree with you, but I think that's one way to put it. We are the universe having a human experience, here for the first time ever in this form, and here for the last time in this form. So it's a gift, regardless of how you believe we got here or where we're going. That is a fact, that it's a gift. Let's see here. Danbury said, and out of all sperm, you were the one that made it. Totally cool. True. Out of 250 million other opportunities, that one time that your parents had sex, you made it. Ryan, I get it, but it's not me. LOL. I don't know what you mean exactly. Some of us think, if what you mean is what I think you mean, some of us think that humans are better at certain things than robots. If that's true, then why are more people having sex and having sex with themselves by watching porn than they are in real life? Answer that. Why are more people having sex digitally today than in real life? If we're better, if that's what you mean, if we're better than robots, then answer me how a screen that only displays video and audio is already something we prefer. And you think robots and AI aren't going to do it better? Of course they are. It's a fool's errand to think that they're not. Azura said, or a significant other. Not sure, again, what that means. I'm trying to keep up with some of your guys' comments. Facts, love that idea. A significant other in terms of dating and having these AI and robots. Guys, you don't think people already think they have relationships with people they never met online? Like, think about it. It's already a reality. People already feel like they're in relationships with people they've never even fucking met, right? They have emotional ties, is what I'm saying. People have emotional responses and ties to people they've never met and have only consumed them through digital references of that said person. We're already doing it. Let's see here. Natalie said, so phone recording you when you're alone in bed at night alone? Predictive programming. Yeah, it's been recorded. Your phone doesn't turn off. Do you guys ever, has anybody ever wondered why you can't take the battery out of these things anymore? It's not because the phones are necessarily better, although they are. Because it's always on. It's literally always on. If it's around you, it's fucking on. Let's see. Christy said, nothing better than a warm hug than that contact. So I don't know it can replace everything. I never said it could replace everything at all. I've never said that. But I still believe that if the trajectory continues to be what it is, right? Less people having babies, less people having relationships, more people getting divorced, more people than ever not having children, not having homes, not having parents in the homes, at least not both parents, than ever before. So the trajectory keeps continuing and less people are having sex continually. Well, then what's that going to turn into? Hugs are not. Think about this. If a kid doesn't get physical contact when he's first born, or she, when the child's first born, they have a higher likelihood of not making it through full term or maturity, right? They don't live. The death rate goes up tremendously when they don't have physical contact. So they put a nurse in a room with a bunch of babies to give it physical contact. So yes, you believe that a physical hug can't be replaced. I agree, but it can be scaled. Just to let you know, it can be scaled. Somebody can come and offer those as healthcare, if you will. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't know. I can't predict the future completely, but I do think that there's workarounds to all the problems people propose regarding this said future. Let's see. Danvers said, I'm going to whisper in my phone tonight. You should set up your future. You know, you guys have always, a lot of you probably are familiar. I know Rochelle is with phrases or concepts like, be careful what you say, right? Don't be careful what you put out there. You might just get it. Be careful what you wish for. God's always listening. So careful what you pray for. Okay. Well, right here, guys, this is it. This is the thing. Careful. And for now, I don't know what it'll be in the future. It's not going to be this. It hasn't always been this, but now it is. And later on, it'll be something else. It'll probably be these. You'll probably have 1-year-olds with these on, probably born putting these on. You'll see. You'll get it eventually. So yeah, you should already be really careful what you put out there and be really, really, really intentional about it. And Danbury says, I'll never use dating sites. I only joke. I don't think there's anything wrong with dating sites. I just prefer not. Look, I don't know if you guys know, but I've done a lot of wedding films and photography over the years, over the last 7-8 years. Every single one that I know of that I can think of off the top of my head, at least 90% of them, if not more, were all met online. I've shot weddings where people met through meeting on video games in different states and towns. I've met people who've met on MySpace, first wedding I ever shot. People who've met on every other platform after that, especially the ones you just swipe real quick on somebody who's pretty. There's nothing wrong with them. I don't think there's anything wrong. It's not for me. Let's see here. Ryan, you are right, but me personally, I can only get too far into. You get what I mean? So you're saying for you, like in terms of what you're interested, I agree. I think, like I said, most of us, my age, your age, and around it are going to be less receptive to these ideas, of course. I just don't want to be behind and adopting and adapting so that I can use these things to my advantage. So I'm not, missing a wave that one day I'll wish I invested in because now it's something huge, just like investing into a stock in 1901 or 1915 or whatever it may be when Coca-Cola started to now, you would have been smart to do so. Let's see here. Damer says kids now just want to be YouTubers, got to get them real skills. You know what? I'll tell you this right now. Damer, try to start a YouTube channel and make money at it and tell me that's not a real skill. So I wouldn't diminish that at all. I would actually say, and I would encourage it. But yes, you are right that they still need real skills because guess what? To make money on YouTube, you're going to have to learn how to talk, how to communicate, how to share, how to use tech, how to deploy it, how to use text, how to use descriptions, how to make tags, how to use the digital world, and also physically do something on camera in the real world. So I wouldn't diminish kids wanting to be YouTubers. It's like your parents saying, oh, my kid just wants to be an artist. Let's get him a real job. I wouldn't be so quick to always completely undermine it. Kimmy says, virtual seems much more appealing. I think stimulating to my mind and my imagination is almost as good as stimulating to my other parts. I'm going to tell you something right now. One of the reasons why you guys will all adopt this and be familiar with it soon, I will tell you right now why that is true, and I know it for a fact. The majority of you people will absolutely adopt these technologies because they will be the tool that allows people who have limited abilities, whether it's with their hands and feet or extremities or physical body. Maybe they have limitations there. Maybe they have limitations in the tools that they've been taught how to use. Maybe they have limitations on understand the technology to be able to make the things they can imagine, meaning your imagination lives in here. Technically, your imagination, let's see, left-handed people. So your imagination lives in here. Sorry. Your imagination lives in here on this side of your brain, right? It's called imagination. This one's called literal. To get out the imagination into the real world, you have to use tools. You have to use a typewriter. You have to have a keyboard. You have to have a paintbrush. You have to have a tattoo gun. You have to have something. I said gun. Tattoo machine. You have to have something to get out of here into here. Okay? You have to have a tool that does this. For now. Okay? For now, you have to have a tool. Well, you always have to have a tool, but eventually that tool is not going to be physical. It's going to be called AI. AI will be able to get out of your imagination without limitation whatsoever. Stories, images, books, novels, concepts, visuals, paintings, worlds, maybe. If you accessed my mind, you'd probably want to get out right away, and some of you might never leave. The gateway to experiencing dreams is going to be AI. Okay? Once this happens, think of how many of you guys are creative, but you don't know how to paint. How many of you have had a story and a feeling, but you don't know how to put it to words? You feel something deep and you wish you could convey it, but you can't. There's a limitation. AI won't have those. So we're going to be living in a creative We're going to be living in a creative revolution. Matter of fact, right now, what we're living in, so that this stays spicy but still fun and not so damning, we're living in a digital revolution. Okay, we're living in a digital renaissance, where the barrier between you and creating a Mozart, you and the barrier between creating something like Shakespeare or Da Vinci, is no longer going to be a piano, years of study, it's going to be the ability to get out of here. Because it's not just automatic necessarily. You have to use AI as the tool to get out of here into the real world. And that's the world we're coming into, at least for quite some time. Let's see. Chantel, oh no, that's always seemed so sketchy to give your DNA like that. 100%. I agree. Anybody doing the DNA and 23andMe, I mean, if they want your DNA, they can get it. If you're in the military, they already have it. But yeah, all I'm pointing out is most people are not afraid of their information being out there. It's already out there. You tell everybody when you're on vacation through Instagram, and you give the fucking government and Google all of your medical history and DNA. So come on. Let's see here. Rochelle says, we are all part of it, therefore we are it. Okay, so I agree, but I'm going to disagree with the fact that we are it, because it is much greater than us, right? If you took us out of the universe will still be here. If you tried to put the universe in us, it wouldn't fit. So we're part of it, right? We're enjoying it. We are not all of it itself, but just as part of it as your toe is to your body, I think. Maybe that's what you mean. Let's see here. Brody says, I just want to frolic in the woods and play in the streams. Okay, when's the last time you've done that? I'm not saying I'm not trying to call you out, but when's the last time you've done that? That's all you want to do. Or do you want to watch a movie? Do you want to watch a film? Do you want to have some popcorn? Do you want to sit by a fire inside the house and talk to friends texting while on commercial for your favorite show? Because there's lots of things we want to do. I'm just pointing out in this topic that as humans, we have idealistic, irrational idealistic ideas of what we'd like to be, but it's hard for us to accept that what we're doing is actually what we really want to be. And that's a harsh pill for a lot of people to swallow. So if you want to frolic in the woods and play in streams, you can do that. But maybe it's kind of banter too. I kind of get what you mean. Let's get here saying, Danbury, it's the year of the rabbit, so go out and buy one. Okay. Heather saying, speak it into existence. I think I'm a little behind on your guys' comments. I'm going to kind of scroll here. I'm sorry if I miss you guys. I'm doing my best. This is literally the most activity I've ever seen. I knew this was going to happen. That's why I called it out earlier. It's the most activity I've ever seen on here with you guys, so thank you. Okay, let's go here. This is a good topic to stay on. Dambria says they want to play video games and have other people watch them play. No real content. Okay. Again, I'm going to crush your dreams here. I'm going to crush your philosophy. So you're saying they want to play video games and have other people watch them play? No real, or maybe even what you're saying is not real content? I don't know if I brought that up. So they want to play video games and have other people watch them play, not real content. First off, how is that not real content? It's still entertaining, and if people watch it and there's views, then it's obviously of value to people. Can't deny that. They wouldn't be watching it if there was no value. So how's it not real content? Also, when we were kids, I used to go to 7-Eleven on Clovis Avenue in Ashland, and I would watch people play. First, I think it started out as Pac-Man. That might have been the burger joint around the corner from 7-Eleven, but it was one of the two. I'd watch them play Pac-Man, and then eventually at 7-Eleven they had Street Fighter, and then eventually they had it was Double Dragon, then Street Fighter, and then they had Mortal Kombat. And you know how many kids stood around watching the two best? There were always these Asian kids in our neighborhood that were so good, and we would just watch them. And it was more fun than us playing because we sucked. We'd get on there for a second and try to play. We'd die. This kid would take over, and we would all stand around and watch them. That's not any different than people playing video games and having other people watch them on YouTube. Making content is not easy. Again, try to make a living out of it. Good luck. It takes a lot more skill than just writing it off as anybody could do it. It reminds me of when I was a kid. People would say with the music that I like pretty hardcore stuff with people screaming into the mic, this isn't real music. And I would think to myself, you're just the monkey not willing to accept that there's more than just the words they're saying. So people would write it off because it doesn't fit their box. I would be just really careful to do that. So think of two things, Dambria, and you guys watching with kids and even yourselves, apply this. There's only two things you could be doing right now. In life, there's only two things you could really be doing, and especially digitally, there's only two things you can do: consume or create. You could technically do both at the same time, which is like hyper production in a sense, kind of, if it's productive, I guess. But you can either consume or create. Okay, somebody's creating things. I wouldn't shoot them down so quickly just because you don't agree with what they're making. That's like parental advisory type stuff. Just because somebody puts a limitation on it doesn't mean it's not something else, or like art or creativity. So Ryan, I'm going to get to this. This is a long one. Stay with me, guys. Yeah, like you, I'm old school. Personal experiences got into things like you didn't tell me on Facebook, happy birthday, but I did in person. They're quick to say it's different. That is a great topic. Even arguments get based off a digital platform and not something in reality, but some that is their reality. You're exactly right. There's certain things people will do behind a keyboard that they would never do in fucking person. I've had people say some of the meanest shit to me only digitally. They will not say it to my fucking face. For the few of you that do, I respect you. Although you're an idiot and you're still wrong, I still respect you for being able to do that. For you guys for those of you or anybody out there who experiences this, where people will be brave behind keyboards and steering wheels, but not in real life, pussies. Pure pussies, no concern of mine. Let's see here. Rochelle says, I don't believe we're ever taken out. Our bodies may decay or turn to ash, but the energy of our souls is forever. Yes. I don't remember what law this is. It's like one of Newton's laws, or maybe the law of thermodynamics that states that nothing can either be destroyed or created, that all things exist always, just in new form. That's true. Everything that makes you up, every atom and every cell, every proton, neutron, electron, boson, and so on and so forth, if it goes smaller than that, doesn't go anywhere. Well, it moves around within all this, but it's not gone. It just isn't in this form. Just like if I break this glass and melt it down, the material's still there in new form. So, science class for you. Let's see. Azura says it's the modern day hangout for our kids. Yeah. Nobody's buying bikes and taking their kids out and getting healthy and fit with their kids, but then they complain about their kids sitting around doing nothing. And you're right. It's the new digital hangout. My daughter sits home and plays video games with their friends and talks to them through the internet, right? That's a real thing. That's reality. That's what people do now. It's what we're doing now, guys. So like to shit on kids who are doing it and then you're doing it is just check yourself and pay attention to that. But I agree. It's a modern day hangout for kids. Ryan, you're right. That was it, Snow White. You're 100% right. It was fucking fun, man. So much. I will say this for me, because I'm the old dude. So much fucking cooler to go and watch a bunch of kids play Street Fighter or Pac-Man at Snow White's Burger Joint while getting ice cream on a hot fucking summer day with your feet half burnt because she ain't got no shoes on, right? And you followed your sister on the bicycle while you ran down the fucking burning hot street to get ice cream to watch these video games being played. And even though I didn't have the money to play them, I'd watch. Those were the days, dude, because we grew up like that. You don't think these kids are going to say the same thing about the shit they're doing today with the internet? They're going to say the same thing. They're going to love it, man, because we adapt. That's what we do. Christy said, bro, I lived 7 houses from there my whole life. So then we've probably crossed paths. Heather says, I usually skip the lives because I'm 2 hours ahead, but keep on the conversational topics and I likely be on more often. I enjoy it. Good, because I love when you're here. And I hope all is well. Like I said earlier, hope Texas is treating you guys well. Brody, last time was when I got to go to the very special place that was heaven. Paradise was in August 2022, if I remember correctly. So talking about skipping in the woods and playing in streams, which is a wonderful thing to do. Kimmy, same concept as adults watching porn. People watch others doing the things they really want to be doing or are curious about doing. Yes, there's still humanity. Guys, there's still humanity deeply into everything we're doing digital. Still very deep humanity. Matter of fact, when AI gets so good, like the conversation has been on, when it gets so good, all it's going to do is be, again, taking from the aggregate of all human existence to come up with some sort of resolve, some sort of result, some sort of decision or conclusion. It's all going to be based off of the aggregate of human history of the lives that we've all been living. It's going to be able to take all of that and do something with it. So essentially you could still say it's very human, actually. In a way, it's like superhuman. So think about it like this. Artificial intelligence, the physical industrial world was built. It took so much work. People died, man. They fucking suffered for tens of thousands, if not millions of years. Who knows? The industrial world was to get to the point where they can eventually build something called like a grid so that you could build the internet in it. Right now we're in a digital space. That effort was so fucking unsurmountable. You can't even fathom it. And then it took a very short period of time for us to eventually get to the point to where with technology, we can go, oop, internet. And then 25 years, oop, AI. And then inside of that, within a few years, AI builds super AI. Once super AI is here, it's so beyond you, you won't be able to measure anything after it. It's it. It's in terms of brain power and cognition within humans, we will be so limited to even understanding what it is. We won't even know it when we see it. So that being said, the world we live in today is going to move very, very quick. It's an honor to fucking be here floating on this rock. No doubt. And Rochelle, you're saying, so therefore we are the universe. We are conditioned to believe we are small. We are more power than we think. That's true. That's very true. And we are still, it's beautiful that we are so insignificant into this universe. Our physical bodies are, like I said, the best way to describe us, if there was a relationship, like you could say a BB to a basketball, if you were to say a human to the known universe, you're nothing. That's the best analogy you can come up with. There's no other way. You can't say grain of sand to an Empire State Building. It's not good enough. You can't say grain of sand to the planet. That's still literally not the right ratio, right? You could essentially say to the universe is the only scenario you could really come up with is you're not here. You're not even here. You don't exist. But still, with that being said, how special it is that we get to be here and have our experience at the level in which we are. And yes, we're more powerful than we think. And it's wonderful when you tap into that. That's the gift. Chantel says, as long as I don't come back as a white tiger, once my energy changes. Well, yeah, that's, again, different conversations for different people. FaceTime, there's no real phone calls anymore. LOL. I never FaceTime, but it does seem to be very popular. Good. Heather says that Texas is treating her well. Let's see here. You're coming in October. That would be great. You should let me know ahead of time so we can plan something. And Natalie agrees we are more powerful than you think. That's true. But we also still have our limits. But that doesn't mean we're not connected to some of the most beautiful geometry and symmetry and reality of the universe. It's very true. White Tiger. That is funny. Guys, I got to all the comments. I feel like that was pretty awesome. I think you guys, just as well as me, had a great time because that is absolutely the most. I can't even finish this. I've been having too much fun talking. That is absolutely the most engagement I've had yet with you guys in terms of you guys joining me in the comments. So thank you. Let me know. I'm going to jump off here, but you can still comment. Let me know what it is you got out of this, what you liked about it, if it was different, if it was new, if it was fun, if you want to see more, what stood out to you. So get in the comments, share this if you want, follow it on Facebook. The best way to consume this, guys, is YouTube. It's just much better than Facebook because it gets lost on the Facebook feed, but eventually on YouTube you can still search it. So leave me that comment, give me that feedback. I would love to hear it, and I appreciate you guys. So that being said, I appreciate you. I love you guys. I hope you had a good fucking night. I know Mom's not on here still, but Sis is. Sis, I fucking love you. You're an awesome sister. We got to get you on here. I know everybody wants to meet you. I mean, you already made a sister, so we might as well. Guys, I appreciate you. Jump into those comments. Let me know what's up. I look forward to next time. This was episode 36. Next time will be 37 if I can count right. This was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you. I look forward to next time. Have a good night. Have a wonderful time. Enjoy, and I will see you later. Farmer.